Hi, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to continue working on the Ford 302 engine. Now we rotate. Oh, there's a little bit of antifreeze coming out of there. Oh boy! Okay, so I have the engine flipped upside down. We're now going to go ahead and remove the oil pan. So I'm going to start taking off the oil pan bolts. But not with my impact, it seems. Maybe I gotta crack everything loose first. So I guess loosen everything off by hand, and then I'll go back and use the impact, I guess, to take. It turns out that it might be possible for me to change the oil seal even while it's on the engine stand, so that's a bonus. And we'll do this side. So there looks like there's two sizes of bolts. So I'm starting with the small size first. Like I say, my buddy wants the oil pan gasket replaced. I guess just as a preventative thing. I don't know if this one was leaking, but since the motor is out of the car, I guess we'll go ahead and change it now. Just put that in there so that it doesn't rotate. I might have to just hammer that in just so it doesn't, because it's not all the way in, as you can see. There, that's an engine pan bolt right there. If I didn't loosen that one. All these bolts look like they're going to have to get cleaned up on the wire wheel. And then take it at the end. They look like nice 16s. And this one here is a stud, so I'll have to get a deep socket to remove it. So 3 different sockets to remove this oil pan. On the engine stand. The stud for this one goes right up here on the right hand side, so let's remember that. Oh, Oh, well, that's a good sign. All the components are still in here. He wanted to change the oil pan gasket. Oil pan gasket is all in one piece on this one. Like that. But it looks like our oil pan gasket is going to be made out of cork, and it looks like it's a multi-piece gasket. No problem, we will adjust. And then what we're going to do too, we're going to replace this seal as well. So there's a rubber seal right here, so we'll actually attempt to take that off as well. But we'll tackle this here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to clean off this surface real well, and then we'll come back. Okay, so it's been about 35 minutes since the last part, and I'm just going to show you what the oil pan gasket looks like. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I figured I'd lay it out like this, show you, and then go ahead and finalize the installation. So there's 4 pieces to this. There's a rubber piece here, and then there's 2 cork segments, and then there's another rubber segment here. And the cork gasket has a little nub, and that nub actually fits in underneath the rubber part of the gasket. So I guess what I would say, the very first thing is make sure your surfaces are clean. Second part is when you install this rubber segment that you ensure that you put it into the channel appropriately, and take your time. I think that's maybe the biggest thing, is take your time, don't rush the step. You want to ensure that, especially these 2 pieces here, that the rubber seal is pressed in, or it's inserted correctly into the U channel at both ends. Now over here, what I've done is I've cleaned the surface of the oil pan very, very well. So both this surface and this surface as well, even along the side. So I've degreased it as much as I can. And these reinforcement bars, I've actually cleaned these up as well. So the grease and oil is off of that. And on the hardware as well, I've cleaned every bolt on the wire wheel, including the threaded part, so that you know that we're starting with as clean enough surface as possible. So the plan is I'm going to lay a bead of Permatex on the oil pan all the way around, and then a layer of Permatex underneath where the cork goes. And then once that's done, then I'll then fit the oil pan on top and then bolt it down. So this time I'm going to put on gloves when I'm handling the Permatex. The other observation I made here too is, you see how I put these bolts in? I did that because I found that the cork gasket was a little bit distorted and not exactly even. So I don't know if it has sort of self-straightened itself out after being positioned like this with the bolts. I don't think so. But I think the Permatex, once I lay the Permatex down, that will hold the gasket down in place. So I'm going to take these bolts out. Make sure I don't drop them inside the engine, so I'm being very careful that when I unscrew, I'm careful not to lose them. Okay, and then what I'll do for now is I'll pull these out like this. And then grab my my gasket maker here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna lay a bead of that on here. Pay attention that the gaskets, there is one gasket that's meant for one side and then the other for the other. And like here's a notable difference right here. This notch here. See this notch right here? This is to allow, I guess, some oil flow. So I have that in place. Now we'll do the other side. So very same thing, but just now on this side. The other gasket, or this part of the gasket. Back or down onto the surface here. Okay. Now I'll apply some gasket maker to the oil pan itself. Okay. Come on. Oh. We'll put in the reinforcement bars. Okay, and we need to start getting some let's get some bolts in place. We need to localize the see if we can get it more or less localized. So I'll start with the little bolts first. Putting them in by hand. Then we have the big bolts in the corners. I'll put those in. I don't want to put them on tight just yet. I just want to get it seated in its position first. And I'll do the end ones. Okay, so I've got my torque wrench out and I'm going to torque the bolts on the oil pan. So the small bolts, I'm going to torque these to 10 foot-pounds, and the larger bolts, like the 4 larger bolts, I'll torque those down to 15 foot-pounds. So I'll use my torque wrench and I'll go around and I'll torque those in. Okay, I'll do the other side. I'm going to start from the middle and work my way to the ends. There you go. So now I'll change the socket to the larger size. I'll change the torque on here. And here we go. That's done. And then the 2 bolts at the rear. Alright, so I have to talk a little bit louder because the furnace is on. If we don't have the furnace on, it gets a little bit too cold in here, so apologies for the background noise. So now I'm going to flip the motor back up, or right side up, and we're going to install the headers, replace the, put in some fresh spark plugs, and we'll then install the 2 brand new engine mounts. Wait. There you go. I think what I'll do is I'll install this block just as a bit of a safeguard. You see that there's some junk in the threads here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this stuff out. See how there's like red RTV in here? I was just seeing if I could just remove the gasket material here. I didn't want anything interfering with the threads. Okay, so the plan we're going to do next is we're going to install the headers, and I have the brand new exhaust gasket here. It has markings on it, so it says top here like so. So this probably goes like this on the engine, and then the headers will go on like this. All right, so my surface is already clean. I'll just spend a few minutes and I'll just clean these surfaces here first, and I'll find the hardware, and then we'll install the headers. Second header. Here are the old header gaskets. We don't need those anymore. And here are the Mustang header bolts. So I'll just spend a few minutes and I'll just clean these up on the wire wheel, and then we'll install them. So I think to make things easier, I'm just going to remove the spark plugs. I've got new spark plugs to put in, so I'll just take these out for now. We have one header here, one gasket here, top. I'll bring the bolts over, put them on they're on the magnet tray. Get a bolt. There we go. Furnace is finally stopped. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Just take these off. Just want to get the bolt started. Put them all in hand tight for now. Did you see where I put the other exhaust gasket? Hey, this thing's coming together. We're going to get the headers on, then I'm going to put the new spark plugs in. Then we're going to attach the engine mounts, and then we're going to transfer the engine from the engine stand over to the cherry picker, and then we're going to start working on the rear engine seal, install the new clutch, and then hopefully get it in the car. So now we're going to install some brand new fresh Champion spark plugs, part number 7018-2. Okay, and I'll do this 8 times. So we'll do this side first, and then we'll do the same on the other side. And then the very last one on this side. Okay, and then I'll torque them down. There. We install our plugs. Just so that this is out of the way and we don't damage them. So just get these in place. There. Now, what I want to show, I'll repeat this exact process on the other side. So I'll clean, I'll install the headers, install the new plugs, and hook up the spark plug wires, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so maybe I'll show you what we did on this side. So just like we discussed, the headers are installed with the new gasket. The new gasket, of course, you have to make sure that you install it correctly. So the metal side of the gasket is towards the manifold. The non-metallic side, if that's the case with your gasket, goes towards the head. The 4 brand new spark plugs are installed, and the spark plug wires are reinstalled. The next thing I want to do is take this opportunity to install brand new engine mounts. So I have these right here. Here's one. And here is the other. So here are the new engine mounts, and I'm just going to show you what the old ones look like. So here are the old engine mounts. They were not on the motor or on the engine, they were part of all the parts. So we're going to replace this section with these new ones. Okay, well, what I'll have to do is separate the engine mount from the bracket. So I'm going to put this into the vise, And then I'll just take this off. And then this says LR. And this says RR. So these ones are marked. See that? LR, left, and right. Okay. So the part number for these is EM 2682, and the same here, EM 2682. All right, so we'll get this in the vise. And get a socket on here. See, this came off like this. I'll put this on like this. Get that on tight. I don't want these to come loose. Not the same way, but okay. And now, there you have it. We will transfer this nut onto here. And then this on the engine, I don't know if you can see this from your viewpoint here. This goes on the engine like this. Bolt there, that threads right into the block. Okay, I just took it out. Okay, see, that goes like this, and this goes like this. Okay, so now we'll do the same for the other side. Okay, and we'll go put this one on the other side. So just like the other side, there are two bolts on, oh, this one's tight. Oh no, I got it. That's where your engine mount bolts onto. Okay, so I will get a socket and a ratchet, and we will tighten these nuts, these bolts in place. Tip top. Ah, much better. Put the other bolt in first before you tighten the bolts down. I'm going to get my breaker bar just for some added leverage to make sure these are tight. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then we'll do the same for the other side. Again, use the breaker bar. All right, so now we're at the stage where both engine mounts have been installed. What I want to do next is get it off the engine stand and onto the engine hoist. So that's what we're going to do next. As I stub my toe in the thing. All right. You just got to slits there. Slippery here, honey. Oh, I see. What's next? What's next here? Isn't this telescopic? See? Now, we want to go out far. We want to go out to 1 ton. Maybe 1 ton for now.